Okay, so this session is a continuation of the Sefer Yetzirah. We're looking at section 1 from the Sefer Yetzirah. And I'm going to share a screen. So section 1 from the Sefer Yetzirah is how I've designated the first 8 Mishnayot from the Gra version. So I'm using the Gra version because I like the Gra's interpretation of it. I think it's really good. And because this is the one that Ari used, and I think that it's also the one that Ari Kaplan presents as well. So it's kind of like it seems to be the most prominent one. And so the way this is presented is that the first 8 Mishnayot of the first chapter seem to present one particular type of kind of message. And if you look through here, we've got the whole of these sections here. That's why I've done it. I like putting it all in front of me so we can see what's there. And so there is a common thread of unity in this section here. So you can see it comes back, this idea of unity comes back again and again. So it's always SS Sfirot in this section here. All the Sfirot are counted as one. So the beginning of the Mishnah, with the exception of 1 and 2, they all begin 10 Sfirot, 10 Sfirot, 10 Sfirot, 10 Sfirot. So if you look at the next section, which is over here, again, I haven't got it in English, but okay, it begins SS Sfirot, but then it starts to enumerate them one by one. So this is what I call, this is the second section. There are 6 Mishnayot I've designated for the second section, and they kind of enumerate them one by one. But the first section, there is a common thread of unity there, and even with the first Mishnah, there is 32, and then the second Mishnah 22. So there's a tendency of wholeness here, and I think that's a crucial aspect of it. So again, like the Reb Tzadok says, I'm following the hadracha of Reb Tzadok Kohen of Lublin, who was a student of the Ishbitzer Rebbe in 18th century Poland, and he says that the entirety of Kabbalah is the mystery of unity, so the Yichud, which is the equivalent to these 2 mystery schools of the Maaseh Bereshit and Maaseh Merkava. Maaseh Bereshit and Maaseh Merkava are the 2 hidden schools, mystery schools of Judaism. Maaseh Bereshit refers to the workings of creation, the secrets, mysteries of creation, and that is designated by Reb Tzadok and by the Zohar as Yichud Tata, the lower unity. And then there is the Maaseh Merkava, which refers to Ezekiel's vision and really the prophetic process, which the Zohar and Reb Tzadok refer to as Maaseh Merkava. The workings of the chariot. So in Ezekiel's vision, he had a vision of the chariot, and he had a vision of the Sfirot. So this is, both of these 2 together comprise the mitzvah of Yichud, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the mitzvah of recognizing that God is one, the unity of creation. So that's why this bit here, you can see that it begins. The Sefer Yetzirah is the book of creation, the book of Maaseh Bereshit, really, but it begins with discussing Maaseh Merkava, and I'll be discussing that. The idea of blima, or nothingness, how it's translated here, or blima as ineffable, in the sense of blimat ha-peh, blimat ha-peh, and blimat ha-lev, over here, in this 8th Mishnah, shutting up your heart, bridling your heart, or your mouth and your heart from speaking and thinking. So these are the this mitzvah of Yichud Hashem, and that's why I say if you look at the Maaseh, if you look at the Sefer Yetzirah here, you'll see that there is this. It is unified here, and that's why you come back and again and again and again. Over here, a singular covenant. So even though they're represented by 2 parts of the body, they're still a singular covenant. Brit Yachid, and then later on over here we have in Mishnah 5 we have Adon Yachid, a singular master, And then we have a repetition of a singular master up here in Mishnah 7, for a singular master he has in a second. So we see again and again, there is this Sodi Yichud, which is in regards to Maaseh Bereshit, it means that there is a singular origin, a singular creator of the universe. And when in regards to Maaseh Merkava, we have a higher level of unity, Maaseh Yichud Ilah, according to the Zohar, which is a unity which transcends differentiation. So therefore, it transcends self. It transcends our sense of being different to anything else. It transcends our sense of self. So that's what Reb Tzadok understands it, that the Maaseh Merkava, the prophetic process, means that we are moving beyond individuality and our sense of individuality. Right. So that's the general idea of what we're trying to achieve, of what this first section of the Sefer Yetzirah is presenting to us. What we want to look at, what we've been doing is been moving towards this idea of meditation. And this initial meditation we're looking at is the Maaseh Merkava, finding our experience of the Maaseh Merkava. So even though Reb Tzadok says, and the Mepharshim say that the Sefer Yetzirah is a book on Maaseh Bereshit, the first quotation we have in the Sefer Yetzirah, I think I haven't looked up my Kemareha Bazak, the appearance of lightning, but up here, this quotation here, the Chayot running and returning, this is from Ezekiel's vision. You see Ezekiel 124. This is the first. This is the first chapter of Ezekiel, which is the Maaseh Merkava, what is referred to as Maaseh Merkava. So, even though Sefer Yetzirah is generally a book on creation, Maaseh Bereshit, this particular section ends with a quote from Maaseh Merkava. So, we again are talking about Maaseh Merkava. So, and this particular Mishnah also is the Mishnah which talks about meditation. Okay, and going back to this one here, number 6, the vision of their vision of the Sphirot. So I said that Ezekiel's vision was a vision of the Sphirot. Okay, so that's a prelude. I'll advise you to look at last week's section where we look at Mishnah 6 in more detail. Previous one we looked at Mishnah 3 in more detail, and we'll carry on after we started doing meditation, we'll start unpacking these other Mishnah which we haven't really looked at, number 4, 5, and 7, and then we'll see how we can really explore this idea of this meditation on Maaseh Merkava and Maaseh Bereshit. Okay, so let's go straight in. The Sefer Yetzirah, I've gone to Hebrew now. The Sefer Yetzirah is the earliest presentation of Jewish meditation. And how does it present the practice? It says, 10 Sefirot Blima, 10 Sefirot Blima. So we've been going over what is Blima. Blima can mean nothingness. It can be Blima, as in separation into two words, like over here, Blima, without what. And I heard in Shir on Rabbi Jerry Rosenfeld today on Rabbi Morgenstern, that wherever we see this idea of Blima, it's Chochma. Chochma is wisdom, and Chochma is Olam Ha'atzilut, which is the fourth of the levels of the universes, and the universe of the Sphirot. Blima, this Mishnah presents it as Blimat Hapeh. It's a play on words. It says that it's not rather than nothingness, it is blimat. It is a verb meaning to stop. So belom, as in its verb form, it's belom picha, stop your mouth. So that's why you can look at Sefirot Blima as 10. Sefirah can be an count of Blima, 10 counts of stopping up, 10 counts of contraction, 10 counts of being quiet, 10 counts of silence. So, belom picham ledaber, stop your mouth from speaking. Belevcha meleharher, and your heart from thinking. And if your mouth runs, mimratz picha ledaber, if your mouth runs to speak, belevcha leharher, and your heart to think, shuv lamakom, return to the place. Shelekach lemar, because upon this it is written, va'achayot ratzu v'shov, and the living beings, the living angels, running and returning. And upon this a covenant was forged, was written. That is the meditation practice. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there which we can look at. See, running and returning is the essential idea of the practice. Running and returning Ratzav B'Shov. Actually, the gematria of Ratzav B'Shov is Torah 611. So it tells you that Ratzav B'Shov is the essential quality, property of Torah itself. And so running and returning here means running into speaking and running and returning to the silence. So shuv lamakom is returning to silence, and you can see that shuv is the same word as tshuva, of doing tshuva, which means returning, penitence or repentance. It actually means returning to lamakom, to the origin, to Hashem, who is referred to as makom haolam, the place of the universe. So that is the essential idea of what we're trying to achieve. But again, it's difficult to do because how do we do this idea? So therefore, we'll go to Mishnah number 6, which is what we went to last week, and I've got it here separately. This Mishnah, I see it, you can look at it in multiple ways, but I want to look at it in the terms of what is happening when we meditate. And we'll look at it practically. 10 counts of being quiet, 10 counts of stopping up, 10 counts of silence. So the purpose of this practice is to have a vision of the Sfirot, and that means a vision of silence, because we say the Sfirot are Olam Ha'atzilut. Olam Ha'atzilut is the world which is beyond thought. So the 4 universes, you have the Olam Ha'atzilut, which is the world behind and beyond thought. You have the Olam Bri'ah, the world of creation, which is the world of thinking. It's called Olam HaMachshava, the world of thought. We have Olam Yetzirah, the world of creation, which is also the Olam HaDibur. And we have Asiyah, which literally means action, and it's also the world of action. So action, speech, thought, and beyond thought are these 4 levels of the universe. So our purpose is to have a sphere, let's support to look at to have a vision of the spherot, and that means to have a vision of the silence, the silent emptiness, the space between and behind thinking. And what we have here as well is a description of how we can look at it and how we can enter into this idea of it. So that is our purpose, and that's why it comes up Mareh Bazak. Mareh Bazak is a sudden, silent, flash, and it's a clear thing. You can clearly see you're having this experience. But we can follow our thinking back into thought, back into silence. So that's why it says V'tachlitan en lahem ketz, their purpose of the Sfirot, even though their vision is in silence, their extent is within thought, within speech, and speech is connected with emotion and within action as well. So when we observe our action and follow our actions back through our speech, back through our feeling, and back into our thinking, and back behind our thinking, we can follow that, trace that route right back up into the silent space. And the next bit is an explanation of how speech manifest from within the Sfirot. His word within them is Ratzav B'Shov. So when we try to sit and meditate and close our eyes and be silent, we'll find that thinking arises, feelings arise, a desire to move arises, and it arises in the manner of Ratzav B'Shov. So what it's telling us here is that thought runs, if your thought runs to mouth runs to speak and your heart to think, it will naturally return to the place, because the place where speech comes from is from behind that, and then it will return. So we can just observe how our thinking goes, emerges from the silence, from beyond thought, and then returns to beyond thought. But we have to be careful that our thinking does not take over, because we can disturb the silence, because when we have a thought when we have an idea and when our emotions kind of take over, what happens is the Sfirot chase after them. They chase after it like a whirlwind, and the peace is disturbed. So what this means is we have to learn how to separate out our actions, our speech, and our thought, and let them remain in their place. Settle them out. Don't let them run in with each other. Let them just be where they are. And then we can see how they separate into different colors, into different levels, and the quiet emerges from behind. And in some ways we can look at it like that. Before his throne, they prostrate themselves. So also the kisor, actually who is referring to his throne, referring to Adam Kadmon, which is above that, which is the will of God. But I've seen in the Sadra Gaon commentary on this, which actually is not following the Gra, but he has a commentary there. He comments on it that anybody who is participating in, who is engaged in this activity, needs to prostrate himself before the throne of glory. So it is an advice for us. I'm just going to go and see where it says that. 1 second, because I wrote it down somewhere here. 1 second. Write it down. Is it over here? No. Is it over here? Yeah, here we go. Lifneki saw him mishtachavim. He quotes quotations of Perush of Sadia. How sick the person, to the commentary of Rabbi Sadia, Rabbi Sadia gone. How sick the Sefer Yetzirah, whoever is engaged in the Sefer Yetzirah, in this Sefer Yetzirah, the one we're talking about, with Mishnah Zoh, in this particular Mishnah, Chova alav, it is an obligation upon him to prostrate himself to the Creator of all, the Lomar, Hashem Elokeinu. He should say, great, or Hashem, our God, should be exalted. That okay, that's a quotation. So he's quoting a pasuk. That's the thing. It's a quotation. Etc. Just like his words, which is like lightning, prostrate themselves. He's using it as an analogy. Okay, so that's the basic idea. But what I want to do is now look at it in practice. So when you're ready, get comfortable in your seat. So we want to bring ourselves into a place of Maaseh, bring our attention to Maaseh, to our actions. We want to find how we can allow ourselves just to settle down and then see how these layers rise up. I saw I had a story from a meditation teacher who was looking at, there was a young girl who was looking after her for a bit, came to the meditation center, and he used to meditate, and you see that he's meditated, but he never kind of said, come on, you should come meditate. And there was one time when they were out in the garden, and all the children they were drinking apple juice, and the girl wanted some apple juice, and she saw that it was a cloudy apple juice. It was one of these kind of cloudy apple juices, and she was offered it, and she saw it. She didn't want it. She didn't want a cloudy apple juice, so she left it on the table. And then she came back a few hours later after playing with the children, and she saw the apple, the sediment from the cloudiness from the apple juice had settled down to the bottom, and the top of the apple juice was clear. And so she turned to the meditation master and she said to him, so is that what you're trying to do in meditation? And he turns to her and says, yes, that's exactly what we try to do in meditation. So there's a nice idea that even a 7-year-old girl can kind of figure that out by observing the world around her, by looking at a glass of apple juice. Right. So let's use that as an image for meditation. You can even picture yourself like a glass of apple juice, cloudy apple juice, with your thinking and your feeling and your breath and your body and your movement interacting. Ratzu Vashov.
Dan?
Yes.
Judy, sounds a bit low. Could you speak a bit
Can't hear me?
just on our computer? Can you just speak a little louder on the image? What's the image?
What's the image? Oh, the image. Sorry, I repeat myself. The image. We
A bit,
can
a bit closer to the microphone.
You've got to put your volume up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try to do that. The image is the image of the apple juice. So we can look at ourselves like the glass of apple juice. And our task in this session for the next 20 minutes is to let ourselves settle down. Let the different parts of our apple juice, which is our thinking, our feeling, our actions, our body, and the stillness behind, which is always there, which we just fail to realize because we are murky and the sediment is being kicked up every minute because we are running after we're running after our ideas and our desires, and everything is being mixed up. So the image we're looking for is to try to settle ourselves. Don't engage in our thought. Don't talk about it when a thought comes in. Don't discuss it with yourself. Just let it be there, settle down, watch it, ratzu vashov, let it come into consciousness, and let it return back into silence. Is the sound good? Good level? Okay, good. So let's try that now. Bring your attention to your physical body. Notice any tension in any of your muscles. Might be holding yourself in a particular way. And so kind of what we're doing is relaxing. We're relaxing the body. And then we're going to relax our emotions and our thinking and let it happen by itself. So let's just trust in the process, really. Let your body relax. If you need to move, let it happen naturally. You can scan your body a little bit to see if there is any kind of tension in the body. Muscular tension in the eyebrows or in the mouth, in the jaw, in the back or the shoulders. Just notice it. You can let it kind of relax as well. And you might realize when you pay attention to your breathing that your breathing is ratzu vashov. Breathing is running and returning. You exhale and you inhale. And the breathing actually is a measure of your emotional state as well. So the breath and the faculty of speech and your emotions are all connected. So we can speak through our breath. Things are being communicated. So let them come and go. Ratzu vashov. If their feeling comes up, let it come up. Don't do anything about it. Don't put my thinking into it. Don't act upon it. Okay? Thinking about it is moving it up into a different universe. Olam Briah, universe of thought. Acting upon it takes it down into the universe of Asiya, into the universe of action. But if that feeling, again, I'm talking about kind of acting emotionally. But if that requires you to, if it's your body talking, if it's your body saying, I need to move to restore balance, because oftentimes it's our emotions which is controlling our body, controlling how we're holding our body. So we can let the body be by itself. Allow our emotions to be by themselves. Let them be in their own universe, moving back and forth, without mixing things up. If there is a thought, you can watch that thought as well. And if there is an emotion which is connected to the thought, just notice the difference between the emotion and the thought. Don't talk about the thought, just let it be there as it is. The thought will come and the thought will go. You can start to notice maybe how the thought is emerging from a place which is behind and beyond thought, a silence, a space, a makom behind the thought. And if we allow it, it will return there. But if we start talking about it, it's going to descend into Olam Yetzirah, world of speech. And it's going to get muddled there, and it's going to start having like a snooker table, like a pool table, knocking all the other things around. The same thing with a feeling. You might have a thought. That thought will instigate a feeling. So that feeling and the word and the words and the ideas, like the speech, that's coming from thought. Thought will precipitate a feeling. Will affect your breath. And then if you leave it, it will go back there. So each one of these things has a knock-on effect to the other one. If we engage with them, they'll go lower, they'll go deeper. If we engage with a thought, it's going to enter into an emotion. That emotion, if we engage with it, it's going to become an action. And then the whole kind of cacophony of creation comes into being, which is how the rest of the Sefer Yetzirah comes about, how creation manifests. What we're doing is we want to return to the place. So if an emotion comes in, let it pass, let it come through. Open the gate and let it go. Just be open to whatever's there. Key here is to recognize what you're experiencing. Is it a bodily sensation, a movement? Is it a feeling, an emotional feeling? Is it a thought? You can point them out, you can see where they are, and then they will naturally return to where they come from. In between the thoughts, you can start to see a bit of quiet, a bit of silence there. You really try to investigate that place between thoughts. Because the silence will come like an appearance of lightning. It'll be a flash, it'll be obvious. So if you think you're in silence, there's a thought there, or likely there's a feeling over there. So what we do is we do what Reb Sadia says, we prostrate ourselves, we just surrender to the experience, allow our minds and our feelings to do what they need to do. Let it happen. So whatever is arising, let it arise. If you allow it to arise as it wishes to arise, then you'll see that it will return to where it came from. Don't force anything. Key principle here is to understand that, to realize, to believe that behind all these thoughts, all these feelings, is always and already silence, peacefulness, wholeness, oneness. And also to realize that all of these thoughts, all of these feelings are a manifestation of that. Tachlitan Enlain Ketz, their extent, the extent of the silent spirit is endless. Everything that we feel and think and do, all these things are a movement of and an extension of the spirit. So if you need some more guidance, just remember to see the separate layers of the acting world, the action, the body, your emotions, your thoughts, and the space behind all of that. See it for what it is. See everything for what it is. You can spend some time on each if you like. You can spend some time on the body, feeling the body. You may be able to feel your pulse or your blood moving through your veins and arteries. Like an energy moving through your body. And you might notice that there's energy, this movement. Behind that is some feeling. You can watch that for a bit. Just watch it. See where it goes. You may see some words come up. You can observe those, note those. All of this, like I mentioned last time, all of this movement comes from that which is behind even Olam HaAtzilut. Behind the four universes is the world of desire, the world of Ratzon, of the will. That, your will, your desire, is what precipitates all these things. And that comes into interaction with God's will, Hashem's will. You might have a thought that comes in or a feeling that comes in, and you might have an aversion to it, or an attraction to it, whatever it might be. So this is the two wills coming into play here. Just like the read in Pirkei Avot, Aseh Ritzono Ritzoncha, make His will your will. We Aseh Ritzono Ritzoncha, and He will make His will your will. We align ourselves with that which God manifests in these four universes. We will find there is less of this aversion, confusion, or attraction to these things. There is an alignment, there is a feeling of oneness and wholeness. As Hashem makes His will our will. wherever you are, either settled your glasses, allow you to bring yourself back to the communal space. And you can note what effect that has. So if you want to comment, I can. If you don't want me to share if you don't want me to record it, I can pause it, the recording, or I can invite us to share what your experience has been.
I can share. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to head out somewhere now, so I'll do it from here. But
Yeah,
we're
sure.
talking about this. We're talking about the Sefirot. You're doing like 7 and 3. Break it down. I was researching this week's Torah portion about the magic of number 7. We had 70 souls that left. We also have 70 languages that the people at the Sanhedrin, everyone had to know the 70 languages. So for some reason, the number 7 kept spinning in my head as a number that's necessary. 7 days a week, we got to do the best we can with each day that we're granted in this world. And the number 7 seems to be one that really got to me from the division of the 0 to 7.
Oh, that's what came out for you?
Yeah, that's what, you know what? I was thinking about numbers today, and so in the meditation, it just came out. Since I had numbers on my mind, I was just, breaking down the 0 to 7 and 3, and figuring out what I could come up with 7.
Okay. So, interesting, yeah. So that 7 and 3 is more like later on in the Sefer Yetzirah. So that it comes in the second chapter that talks about the divisions of 7 and 3. And in this section of the Sefer Yetzirah, there's all the Sefirot are as one. They are one unit of 10. So we're not trying to separate them, because it's like even though you can say that the feeling emotions, the world of Yetzirah combined with the world of Asiyah is the 7, that's the 7, and the 3 is the Bria, Atzilut, and Adam Kadmon. That will be the 3. So that's how they would separate out. But generally, in this particular section, we're not trying to separate them, and it's just kind of associations where there is this separation. What I'm doing is that even though they're extended outwards, we're limiting them as a wholeness to within that space behind thinking. You know what I mean?
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I'm just a little ahead, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. Interesting. Okay. Would anybody else want to share something? And if you want me to pause the recording, I can do
that. Your soothing voice made me fall asleep eventually. I'm tired, obviously. But actually, when you gave me a jolt at the end, right at the end, basically, I had this incredible, before you said come back to the room, I had this incredible 5 seconds of really bright light clarity and vision, so yeah.
Was it like how about Zach? Was it like the appearance of lightning?
Well, yeah, you're giving me a jolt. It was a bit like that.
Very good.
But no, it was the kind of yeah. But it's actually interesting because if you're suddenly jolted out of sleep, often that first 5 seconds, when you wake up,
yeah,
before the world comes into you, you have it was very clear. It was beautiful.
Interesting. Sleep from this place. Sleep from this place is a good one, I think. So hopefully you come back clarified a bit more. Very good. Anybody else would like to share something? Off or on record? Very good.
You can turn off the recording, if that's okay.
That's right. So one of the things I noticed with this practice is that it helps me to see my thoughts and to see and to separate them from my feeling, and then there are lots of different ones there, and I just really just see them as a layer cake, and find that there is a peace and a stillness behind it, So in that particular period, I was having like these little like rolling sort of jolt of like a feeling comes. Oh, there's a feeling there. What is that? And I notice it and I see it, and then like with as that particular Mishnah says, his speech, which is all the stuff, which is thinking and feeling and action, all that is in Ratzu B'Shov. It's not permanent. It comes and it goes, and it's only when we engage in them that they continue. The energy kind of continues. When we allow them to return, this is like the Or Choser. So we saw this last week. The Atzilut is connected with the Or. There are two lights that are called Or Makif, encompassing lights. One of them is the Or Choser, which is Chaya, which is the level of Atzilut. So Or Chazer means it's returning. So it comes into consciousness and it leaves consciousness. And that's kind of like when we allow this process to take place, we can see how the light kind of moves back and forth like that. We can see how our thinking moves in and out like that. So what I noticed in my own experience was that there was this kind of a flash of, there's that feeling, there's that thought. Don't do anything about it. Just let it come in, and then eventually it kind of goes. It just allow it to return. Does that make sense? Does that like resonate or kind of like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So that was our first meditation, so actual meditation for this series. So I hope we're gonna be able to maybe even begin with some of this practice in next sessions, and then expand upon them with the remainder of that first section of the Sefer Yetzirah, and then also maybe look at Abulafia and look at the Zohar and maybe a few other things just to help open up and unpack the experience. This is just a preliminary idea. So this Mishnah kind of helps us see how thought and how feelings manifest through our thing. But our background is the background of the Sfirot, which are Blima, which are, like we saw originally, Toleh ha'aretz al Blima, God hangs the universe on Blima. So the whole of creation hangs on this effigy of nothing. So it's all there, like complete Blima, Bitul Hayesh, Bitul Metziut. That is our essence. Is that place there of peacefulness and wholeness. So very good. I'm going to stop the recording and see you next week.